Welcome back to the Empowered Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Bennetts, and today we're diving deep into the intersection of emotions, innovation, and leadership. My guest is Tina Schweiger, the founder of FeelWise, a groundbreaking platform that helps people track, understand, and grow their emotional intelligence. With a background in both design and psychology, and a master's from Harvard, Tina brings a unique perspective to how we can measure and improve the way we feel, lead, and connect. In this episode, Tina shares how a deeply personal experience reshaped her life's mission, why emotions are data, not directives, and how she's using technology to help individuals and organizations build resilience and empathy at scale. If you've ever wondered how to make emotional growth practical, or why emotional intelligence is a must-have for modern leadership, you're going to love this conversation. Let's get into it. Good morning, Tina. How are you?
Good morning, Andy. I'm doing great. It's great to see you.
You as well. You as well. I've been looking forward to this. Your coworker and friend Allison and I have been talking for a few weeks now, and just super intrigued about all of the amazing work that you've been doing. So when I saw that you were willing and wanting to hop on the podcast, I was just elated. So I can't wait to dive into this conversation. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Let's do it.
All right, very good. So Tina, your journey blends a lot of different things: design, psychology, entrepreneurship, lots of fun, cool things that are right in line with things that matter to me. But I would love to know, what was the moment or experience or kind of group of experiences that first sparked your passion for emotional intelligence,
Oh man, what a great question. It's so many things,
right?
really. But emotions are one of the things that really tie together all of our experiences
Hmm.
throughout our life. And
Sure,
some of those biggest life moments are some of the ones that really drive us to the
right.
decisions that we make in our life.
Sure.
I can remember standing right outside this door right here,
Mm,
having my husband walk up to me and tell me he had just been diagnosed with stage 4
mm,
cancer. And
wow.
I had a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And
Wow.
and at that
That's
moment,
crazy.
I didn't even know like what emotions to feel.
Hmm.
And the subsequent journey, as you can imagine, through that family health crisis and
Hmm.
subsequent crises, um, not only sparked my interest in diving more into emotional intelligence, but really diving into how we can use our emotions and the emotions that we feel to build resilience and
Wow.
to create a growth mindset in the face of things that are really impacting our emotion states as we go through life.
I love that. Yeah, resilience is a quality that is talked about a lot, but probably not practiced or discussed or given some teeth to it, right? It's like, oh, be resilient. Okay, fine. Like, how do I do that? How, what do I do to build that? And
Yeah,
I love it absolutely. And I'm all about actionable advice, things that we can actually sink our teeth into and practice. So I completely agree with you.
same.
Love it, love it. Very good. So thank you for that background, and that I do think that kind of leads into all of the fun conversations that we're going to have moving forward. So let's start at the beginning, shall we? I think that's a good place to start.
Sure
Tell
thing.
me a little bit about your upbringing and kind of the different paths that you took to the point where you and I are here chatting today.
I just am one of those tortured artists,
Okay, love
I
it.
started my life just being interested in art, design, colors, drawing,
Okay.
all of those things. And then
Hmm.
living and growing up in, kind of that boomer
Hmm.
parented household
Sure.
where, children were more to be seen and not heard, and
Hmm.
emotions were not really welcome as part of the
Yeah.
conversation.
Right. Right.
So I just had to go through a journey of self-discovery
Hmm.
and figuring out how to apply my creativity
Right.
into my profession as I grew.
Okay. Love
Yeah,
it.
athletics were a big part of my early life as
Okay.
well. I was a elite level swimmer.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. Okay.
I was a high school state champion, junior national champion, top 100 fastest in the world at a certain
Wow.
point,
Very cool.
and got a full scholarship to swim at the University of Texas.
Hmm.
And I think that that's been a big influencer in my life is the discipline,
Mm-hmm.
and dedication and
Right.
tenacity that it takes to be a high performing athlete is very similar to the tenacity that it takes to be an entrepreneur and
Mhm.
to build and create your own ideas and try to bring them forth into the world.
Very true.
And it also ties back into emotional intelligence because
Mhm.
building your resilience through
Okay.
emotional intelligence is uh, related to neuroplasticity, which is
Mhm.
that part of the brain where you can rewire it to perform in a more resilient way or grow to be have more happiness or have more joy.
Right.
It's a practice just like athletics. It's requires training, it requires repetition, and
Mhm.
it requires dedication. And
Sure.
that brought me to that's how those things really come together
Love
from
it.
creativity through athletics and into business and science.
Very cool. I love that. That is a really fun path to get there. And you always hear like, the hindsight's 2020. I would imagine through all of these different stages of your life, it was maybe sometimes hard to see, okay, where is this going and is this worth it? And I mean, all of this stuff. But back to your point of the ideal of being resilient and pushing through, having that vision of what it is that you see in the future and having to kind of be gritty and kind of work through that. So, kudos to you for working through all that because I know that the company that you founded is doing amazing work, and I know that's making a big difference in a lot of people's lives. So, thank you for pushing through because I'm sure it wasn't easy at times.
Not at all.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. I bet.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have to get too far down in the weeds about this, but this is
Mhm.
a term that I have just recently in the last couple of years come to know, and you did a pretty good job of kind of explaining that. But for those that maybe have never heard of the term neuroplasticity, it sounds like a made up word, but I promise it's not, and it's pretty powerful if you know what it is and how that can affect you and kind of open up your future and potential. Can you give us a little bit
Mhm.
more on neuroplasticity?
Yeah, I think neuroplasticity is really about just defining it is not too hard.
Hmm.
It's the brain's flexibility for learning and the
There you
ability
go.
to like physically change the neural pathways in your brain based on the learning and practice that you're doing. And well, the thing that's most important to me that I don't know if we talk about a lot with neuroplasticity is the power of intention. So if
Wow.
you're
Okay.
going to, just like in sports, if I'm gonna try to accomplish something, I need to have a goal. So I need
Hmm.
to have that thing that I can visualize in the future, so that I know what I'm training for. And
Right.
if we're looking at that through the lens of neuroplasticity, that may look like an intention. And
Hmm.
that intention may be, something specific and maybe even measurable. Like I
Sure.
want to be more optimistic.
Hmm.
I'd like to practice more kindness in my life. I'd like
Hmm.
to have more self-compassion in the way that I talk to
Right.
myself.
Sure.
So if
Yes.
we can get really specific
Yeah.
on some mindsets and some even emotion states, we can use different techniques to
Hmm.
to practice
Hmm.
these concepts and habits.
Right.
And eventually, over time, our brain will rewire itself through
Hmm.
neuroplasticity to
Right.
support our new way of being.
Yeah. I love it. Perfect. 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 Summation of all that and then again how that matters to your future and the power of intention. I'm sure that you've read lots of research about the importance of goals and how
Yeah.
people can have big plans but unless they're written down and they have some kind of way to kind of measure are they reaching towards those goals, are they not, that is sometimes the biggest predictor as to whether they will meet them or not is whether they're written down. So
Yeah, could I build on that?
yes, absolutely, go for it.
So that is such an interesting concept, but how do you tie that back to, say, practicing kindness or having a
Yes.
mindset of optimism?
Right.
Can that be measurable? And
Yeah.
the answer is yeah, it can be.
Okay. Can I measure my feelings is basically what you're saying right
Yeah.
there. Because that's not those seem like two different worlds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the other areas of my profession is technology and
Okay.
being a technology designer. And the area of emotions and emotional intelligence a lifelong passion of mine has been how can we quantify the emotional experience
Mm,
so that I know that my experience is this and it has certain metrics to it. How can I compare that to your experience, Andy?
mhm.
If you're having an emotional experience, maybe you're at the doctor's office and you're experiencing fear or pain or something. Is that something you could benchmark and put actual
Right.
numbers to?
Sure.
So I ended up creating an algorithm for emotions
Hmm.
that takes, its valence, its intensity, its affect, and sort of
Wow.
triangulates those with data and
Yeah.
stack ranks and weights with intensity. So I have this pretty complex,
Right. That's
you
that's
know,
the feelalytics. Is that
it's
correct?
feelalytics. Yes,
Okay.
it's taking feelings and putting them to
Yeah.
data. Hmm.
I love that. That's so cool. That's so cool. I'm kind of geeky on the technology side as well, and obviously kind of from the education world as well. But uh, I think we're probably pretty close to the same age. And you'd mentioned kind of your upbringing of like, well-intentioned, loving parents, great. But I always kind of say you can't hold against somebody what they don't know, right? I mean, they
Right.
didn't know any better, right? My dad's father was very distant and provided for the family, but the emotional aspect was not there. So my dad grew leaps and bounds because he wanted to be better than his dad, and he was. But was that where I wanted to settle, was that the level that I wanted to reach for my boys? Absolutely not. I wanted to grow and be better and you know tap into all of this kind of stuff as well. So I love that. That's very, very, very accurate.
Yes. Yeah. I know. It's crazy.
Very good. So, anything more on Feelalytics? Because I think that came first, correct? And then that was
Yeah.
was then put into FeelWise, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Anything more about Feelalytics? I think that's a really, really cool concept.
It is a cool concept. It's really was my inspiration. I ended up going to get a master's degree in organizational psychology from
Okay.
Harvard, kind of before COVID and through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, a lot of these highly emotional situations were going on in my life. And it really coalesced where, as I was learning about statistics and academic studies and how
Mm-hmm.
to design studies and how to read studies and really applying that to my own interests and emotions
Mm-hmm.
and design and user experience,
Right.
that's when it started all clicking. So when I was
Mm-hmm.
studying for my master's degree, really diving into emotion science
Mm-hmm.
and really going through all the research and approaches for data collection and getting inspired by the positive psychologist
Mm-hmm.
Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
Mm-hmm.
That's a million consonants in his last name. Uh, but getting inspired by experience sampling method
Mm-hmm.
and taking what would have been kind of a 1970s approach to data collection through
Mm-hmm.
experience sampling and then bringing that into the modern data collection era.
Right.
It was just a really deep rabbit hole that I went down that
I
ended up
bet.
coalescing into Feelalytics, which is really a platform for measuring emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That platform, as any entrepreneurial venture, can be difficult to get off the
Mm-hmm.
ground with
Right.
not really finding a product market fit,
Sure.
for that technology. So, uh, going back into being like, well, what does everybody want and everybody needs?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs to figure out how to have better emotional intelligence and build resilience.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can figure out an algorithm for putting numbers to these emotions, I can figure out a way to give people access to tools so that they can better help themselves uh, and their own emotional intelligence. So that's kind of how I got there.
Yeah, no, I love that. This is a little bit of a side note here, but I think it does relate back to this because you mentioned your entrepreneurial journey, and obviously you're very passionate about that. Like you said, you kind of had to do this deep dive for it to really make sense because you're really pioneering this whole aspect, right? It's kind of taking things from other people, but in emotional intelligence, um, the measuring of that and putting goals and hard science to that, I think is very, very new. Have you ever heard of the term ikigai?
Sure have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And I actually interviewed a coach about Ikigai and all this kind of stuff. But I think that for those that maybe have not seen that one with Lori Tsugawa, or maybe this is a new term to you, I think it applies to so many things. It's not just if you're an entrepreneur, it really anybody, right, that's wanting to get the most out of their life, right? What is it that you love? What does the world need? What can you be paid for? And what are you good at? The intersections of all of those is your ikigai, or your true purpose. And it
Hmm.
sounds like, Tina, that through that whole journey of yours, you were able to kind of find that middle point. Because what I see a lot of times is that you might have three of those, right? You might love it, you're good at it, and the world needs it, but then if you can't get paid for it, then there's really not a business there, or some combination of that. So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that concept out there, and I guess get your take on that. Did you find yourself in that entrepreneurial journey trying to kind of navigate all of those different fields and trying to kind of find that center point?
I did. In 2008, I started working with executive coaches as
Hmm.
consultants as I was growing my branding and marketing firm and
Okay.
navigating business partnerships and things like
Right.
that. And that kind of work was, foundational and fundamental, not just learning, what aspects of what I like and what I love and what I'm good at, but
Right.
drives me from a motivational perspective and core values and how those
Sure.
relate to purpose. Uh,
Right.
one of the interesting things is that the things that I learned during the executive coaching that I received, I thought are such an amazing way to elevate yourself as a human and build your skills in life.
Hmm.
And they're also very sometimes inaccessible for most people.
Hmm. Hmm.
So some of the principles, like the Ikagi principle, ended up showing up in FeelWise, which shows up right here
Oh,
in the
look at
four
there.
questions,
Okay.
which is a variation that my husband actually came up
I
with
love that.
that he uses when he coaches people, which is what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? What cause is important to me?
Okay.
A
Yep.
little
Yep.
different.
Hmm.
And who do I like spending time with? So who do
Ah,
I want to do it with? So it's a
right.
little bit of a different flavor, but that's one
Hmm.
of our techniques. And then another one is the purpose dialogue. And I think I have one in here for core values, but
Hmm.
just different things that you can do to help generate conversation with yourself and with
Right.
others
Right.
on things like the Ikagi principles, or your core values or purpose, and that helps,
Hmm.
bring people together.
Right. Absolutely. No, I love that. That's really cool. Very, very cool. It's one of those things, and I don't, not to diminish this at all, but it's kind of one of those things like there's nothing new under the sun, and it's really just kind
Mhm.
of like seen from a different vantage point, or with new information and new data and that kind of stuff. But anyways, really, really good stuff. I love that. So I think we've kept them waiting long enough. Let's talk about FeelWise, which is your current just project and passion project. You are the founder and creator of FeelWise. I have my
Yes,
cards here, so if we need to pop them up, but I think you've got some as well. So
I do.
I
Yes,
came prepared, but I'd love to hear about, so we got up to the Feelalytics. How did we get from Feelalytics into FeelWise?
the big one right here, the
There you
super
go.
new
Love it.
hit.
That's easier to see on a camera.
Yeah, it's FeelWise is so as a designer and a creator, I started as a graphic designer before the internet.
Okay.
I date myself.
Yeah, it's all
Uh,
good.
but I started as a print designer, and I'm
Okay.
still a print designer, right? That
Interesting.
doesn't ever
Okay.
go away.
Right.
So and the thing about FeelWise is it's a system for identifying your emotions, getting really granular on what they are, and then figuring out what to do with them, and then how
Mhm.
to use that practice to build resilience and a growth mindset. And so when I talk about how do you identify your emotions, one of the first problems that people have with that is literally coming up with what those might be.
Mhm.
So it's an emotion is a feeling. There's neurons firing in almost every part of your brain when you have
Right.
emotion. It's your limbic brain, your amygdala, your executive brain is trying to like process it all at once. And
Right.
then we're asking ourselves to, overlay our sense of vocabulary and definitions and then
Right.
tie that to what these feelings are. And I thought,
A lot.
that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And even like Brene Brown did a bunch of
Hmm.
research into
Yeah.
this with Atlas of the Heart, and
Okay.
she interviewed so many people and found that most people were really focused on, I think it's like mad, sad, and glad. Like I'm
Hmm.
angry, I'm happy, I'm sad.
Yes.
So
Yes.
mainly three emotion states.
Hmm.
I'm like, well, we have to flip that on its head
Yeah.
and figure out a way to get people to their emotions without having them
Hmm.
have to think it up.
Right.
So I ended up creating 156 emotions in 12 categories of 13. So
Hmm.
there's 12 categories, and then each category has 12 sub emotions. And
Here's
they're
the other one,
all,
right? This
yeah,
small
that's
one.
right. There's this main category wheel. And the beautiful thing about this is I'm not asking you to come up with something off the top of your head.
Yes.
I'm
Correct.
saying, hey, let's do a little shopping. So it
Hmm.
really reverse engineers. You can look
Right.
at all these expressive faces and say,
Yeah.
you know what? This resonates with me,
Hmm.
or this
Right.
doesn't resonate with me.
Right.
And it overlays the creative process
Hmm.
into learning about your own feelings.
Mm, I love
So
that.
I might look at this little fuzzy guy that says love, and
Hmm.
I don't necessarily know that, like, oh, I'm feeling love right now. Maybe I know, but maybe it's subtle. Maybe there's just a little
Hmm.
bit of it there.
Right. Right.
And I
Right. Right.
can recognize it when I see that. And then I can flip it over
Hmm.
and say, well, what's the definition of love?
Hmm. Right.
There's a short, written in English definition,
Hmm.
and then a few prompts that give you like sensations you might feel in your body, things that
Hmm.
you might notice. And then even better, it says, what do you feel love about? So
Hmm.
it invites you to have a conversation and start talking about what it is that you're feeling. And to me, that was a huge breakthrough. When I figured out that there was a way to use creativity
Hmm.
to get people to figure out what their emotions are. One of the most common feedback that I get about FeelWise is
Hmm.
usually, I never even knew I had these emotions,
Yeah.
but I
Right.
definitely do. So
Right.
it really breaks people out of that mad, sad, and glad. And it
Hmm.
also doesn't rely on a word. So a lot of emotion wheels, I mean, there's some that use visuals, but a lot of standard ones are pretty reductive. They reduce
Hmm.
everything into those main categories and then just
Right.
give you the word. And still, the word is like, we have to process that right here. And then we have to think of the definition. And then we have to tie that to a
Hmm.
feeling and then maybe put a
Right.
number to it, like 1 through 5.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's
yeah.
hard.
No,
So,
I completely agree. No, I love the idea that it is, and I guess for the first time that someone might see the FeelWise box or whatever, when you're looking through all of the different aspects here, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many. But you know what? Like that's true, right? There are that many. It's so much more than mad, sad, and glad, and there's so many different variations. And disgust is not the same as mad, and um, depression is not the same as sadness. I mean, there's so many, and again, those are terrible examples, but you understand, like
oh yeah, and
there's
you
so
can
many
learn. Yeah.
variations to that. And I love the kind of the color aspect of that, of just kind of the radiant from one to the one color to the next. So I found it very, very um I guess just enlightening. I mean, I feel like I'm relatively in touch with my feelings, but how do I communicate that with people that I love? That's a very
Mhm.
different thing, right? So I would love to get your take on this because, like I said, I've been using this for a little bit, very much on the beginning stages of this, but if I can, just pick the founder and the creator's mind about this. So we have the app, which is really, really cool. It has all of those along the bottom, and then you can go back and forth. I should have had a screenshot of that. I'm feeling a little bit of this, or I'm feeling a lot of that. I'm feeling really determined, but a little bit scared or distracted or whatever, right? And all of the different variations. What I've been doing is I've been taking a screenshot of that and then sharing
Yes.
that with my wife or sharing that with
Yeah.
my assistant and saying, all right, let's do a FeelWise check-in. Where are you at? And then we say, let's be inquisitive, right? So why is it that you're feeling this way? Oh, well, this is where that's coming from. And again, very, very beginning stages, but without that, I mean, we were just kind of powering through, right? And we're just, we
Yeah.
weren't taking the time to have check-ins and kind of see where we're at, understand a little bit deeper as to what's going on in the whole psyche of all of us as we're going through our lives.
It's something to engage with. And I
Hmm.
think that's the most powerful thing about it. It's empowering and
Right.
inspiring because it's something fun to engage with. And
Hmm.
talking and dealing with emotions isn't normally the
Right.
first word that people think of when
Yeah.
they're like,
Right.
hey, do you want to talk about your feelings?
Yeah. No.
Most people want to just like hit the road and run in the
Yeah.
other direction, right? But if there's a way to say, I'm going to look at fear and I'm going to look at sad, and these are very difficult emotions.
Hmm.
when you're afraid, you're worried you might get fired, in
Right.
this climate.
Hmm.
You're
Sure.
sad because, you've lost something or someone
Hmm.
important to you.
Right.
And the ability to see these emotions as characters
Hmm.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and engage with them as outside of you
Hmm.
does then translate into the development of the ability to not identify with your
Hmm.
emotions as identified as you. They're
Yes. Yes.
emotion states. They're separate from
Right.
you. You experience them.
Right.
And I think I mean, I don't even know where I was going with that. I got so excited about that concept. But
Yeah, no, I really, and that's a perfect, I don't even, not even segue. Let's just kind of stick on that for just a second. This happened with my son just a little while ago, completely in a joking manner, just texted me say, "Oh, I'm so dumb," and I'm like, "All right, we can unpack that a little bit later, right? You're not dumb." I was like, I think that was what I said was like, well, I know that's not true, but why is it that you feel that you're dumb, right? So the idea of not identifying yourself as this thing or as this whatever, it's like I have feelings of this. It seems so small, but am I correct that that's a pretty substantial shift in
huge.
your just emotional intelligence and being able to deal with that and work through that?
I mean, let's do a before and after. Let's
Okay.
do a state where I'm a person that when I get the feeling of grief or sadness or
Okay.
fear, I
Right.
am that. I
Yes.
can't separate myself from that feeling. To after, when I can see that as
Right.
a feeling. The difference is empowerment.
There you go.
The main thing is that without that skill, you are controlled by your emotions. And everybody knows what happens when you're angry and you're triggered, and then you make decisions while you're
Hmm.
in that state and you take action while you're in that state. You are often in a place of regret later because you took actions that were based on a strong emotion that had overcome you and you couldn't do you're
Hmm.
helpless about that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
if you can see anger, as this, red guy, and then
Hmm.
think, oh, anger, I'm angry. If there's just, and I think it's 6 seconds, the
Hmm.
6 seconds nonprofit organization with emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
it's basically if you can pause for 6 seconds,
Wow.
effectively
Wow.
disentangle your identity from your emotion state, and you are empowered. You are
Wow.
in control, and you are no longer a victim to your emotions. And I want to make this skill accessible. Everybody, I mean, so many people need this skill, like so
Yeah.
many people. And I think the world would be such a better place,
I completely agree.
if we could get that spread out there. So if you're listening to this,
Yes.
you need to get on board and help with this cause.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I guess to that point, because I've got so many questions over here, which we're not probably not going to have time to get through today, but maybe we have to have you come back here where we can dive in a little bit deeper here. But I think that anybody that's listening to this can feel that this feels much more than just like this is not a side project or a pet project. This is something you're very passionate about. And for all of the reasons we just said, this is incredibly empowering. I mean, we are on the Empowered Learning Podcast. What better place to have this conversation, right? You
Right.
talk about FeelWise being much more than a product, it's a movement. So what kind of cultural shift are you hoping to lead with this
Mm.
product and this idea?
I would like to destigmatize the discussion about and with and around emotions, first
Okay.
and foremost. If we can first destigmatize it, make it okay to talk about, I think that opens the door for much, much more. Secondly, the movement is about destigmatization and democratization. So I want to make these skills accessible to
Mm,
people despite their socioeconomic status. So maybe you're a person who can't afford or doesn't have health insurance to cover therapy. You're
mm,
not an executive. You can't afford that
right.
$1,000 an hour executive coach that's going to teach
Right.
you about these things. But if you can get a box, and maybe and this is why it starts as a print product, because
Hmm.
it's essentially a 500-page book of,
Right. Wow.
emotions and techniques and mindsets and challenges all together that is accessible for under $50,
Right.
and you can self-study that. So
Hmm.
finally, it's the enhancement of, detangling emotions from identity and
Hmm.
increasing people's emotional intelligence so that we're encountering each other as complex,
Hmm.
nuanced human beings because we
Right.
know ourselves to be that way, and
Hmm.
we can encounter each other with empathy and
Right.
compassion,
Right.
and we can do something about the loneliness epidemic as
Hmm.
well because connection is so critical to uh, living a fulfilling and long and healthy life. So I'm just trying to change the world, Andy.
That's all. I
Move.
love it.
That's all. That's all I'm doing. Nothing, no
Nothing
big
more,
deal.
nothing less.
Nothing more, nothing less.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm so glad that you spent a little bit of time with us, kind of sharing
Yeah,
this with our audience. I'm very confident this will be a very, very popular episode just because it is such a um, it's such a large topic that literally everybody, no matter where you're at in your life, you're old, you're young, doesn't matter your background, your nationality, all of this, everybody is dealing with this in their own way. And to your point previously, up till recently, this has been such a either a taboo subject or just something we don't talk about, we don't relate with. I do think that younger generations do see the importance of mental health, so kudos to them for waking up those of us that are a little bit older to the importance of that. But I just applaud all of your efforts on this because I just think it's such a needed thing at this point. I never even thought about the loneliness aspect of it. I've got a
yeah.
couple. My mom and my mother-in-law are both widows at this point, and they've got good support system. But what if they didn't, right? I mean, there's so many people out here that need this conversation. So many people. So thank you
So
so
many
much for
people.
doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
Wow,
I
thank you.
really do wish that we had more time, but we are just barreling through our 30 minutes here. So I'd love to get your thoughts on our three key questions here. And
Yes.
there we go. I think I deleted it for some reason. And yes, if you are game, I think we could probably have another two or three episodes just on more aspects of this. So if you are up for that, then we can have a conversation afterwards and see if that makes a lot of sense to have you come back
Right.
because
Yeah.
such great content, and I've got pages of notes here that I didn't even get time to go through. So all right, but for the time being, let's go ahead and wrap it up with our three key questions, and then we'll go from there. So, Tina, who is a leader that you most admire and try to emulate? And if it's not a single person, maybe just kind of a group of people, just how would you answer that?
Well, most recent in my mind is being able to go to the ATD conference this past fall and see Seth Godin speak.
Okay.
And just so inspiring. And so, what I admire about leaders like Seth Godin and others that are speaking and advocating for human growth
Mm-hmm.
and leadership development is their ability to um, take really complex and difficult topics and just boil them down into
Mm.
simple and
Right.
actionable and relatable concepts that people can apply in their every life. So, as I mentioned, I'm trying to change the world in a very complex in
Hmm.
space like emotional intelligence. I
Right.
aspire to be able to simplify it and make
Hmm.
it applicable in a simple and motivating way,
Right.
just like a leader like that would.
Right. No, I love that. I realize there's sales aspects to this. That's not really what we're talking about, but I do think that it relates to that. I heard a quote a while ago that said, "A confused mind doesn't buy."
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very true, right? If you don't understand it, to your idea of like making complex things very, very simple, if they understand it at just a core level of like this is what it is. Obviously, it's very deep. You can go a lot deeper into this, but at its core level, at surface level, this is the benefit that you get from getting FeelWise cards and just making this a practice that you and your folks work with. So
Yeah, it's not easy to get to those core concepts.
no, it is not. It is not. But the nice thing about that is that you've layered that. I mean, to your point, it is a 500-page book just in a box, right? That you don't have to feel like you need to read the entire thing. You can just kind of dive into it as you need to. So wonderful. Um, you feel like a lifelong learner. It sounds like you just got your master's from Harvard not too long ago. So I can't imagine that this is not something that you could probably pick 100 different things. But what is a learning that has most impacted you in the last year or so?
In the last year, you're gonna have to edit out while I'm gonna sit here and think about it for a minute.
Okay, you're good.
Um,
Yeah, we'll take a second.
mhm. Um, so The thing that's really impacted my learning this year is, let's just say I had a print project
Okay.
overseas
Okay.
right around March.
Okay.
And I had everything budgeted out. I was ready to, get everything shipped over to the Amazon
Hmm.
warehouse, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden got hit with 145% tariff.
Oh my goodness.
So more than double
Wow.
what I was planning on paying, and I'm talking thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Um, it causes a certain amount of fury and helplessness and frustration,
Yeah.
and just feeling like I'm not in control,
Hmm.
despite how prepared I am
Right.
and how
Right.
much I plan and how much I set aside.
Right.
And I think the current, climate that we're in is, wherever side you sit on, it's fraught with unpredictability,
Right.
right? So I was hit with something that was very unpredictable, and I think I learning how to use my own techniques,
Right.
process my emotions around that,
Right. Right.
but get to another level of
Mm.
business flexibility,
Okay.
and really digging deep to figure out how to overcome some of these financial challenges that is already hard enough
Sure.
to run
Sure.
and start a small business. But then to layer on these kinds of unpredictable things like
Yeah.
145% tariff, you know,
Yeah.
that's really impacted my learning this year.
I'm sure it has. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess let's look at it this way, right? Had you not had the background and the methods and all of the material that you worked so hard on, that might have, your getting through that and learning from that might have gone a very, very different route. So, I mean, at least you have that. It doesn't remove the 145% hit, but at least you were able to learn from that. So sorry,
I'm
sorry.
waiting. I want to get refunded on that
I
someday.
don't blame you. I don't blame you. I would want
Yeah.
to as well. Oh, goodness. All right. And the last one, which I'm very curious to hear your answer to, is what would you do or how would you empower future generations, empower the
Mm.
learning of future generations?
Oh, I personally am trying to empower future generations.
I can tell you
Um,
are.
yeah, I believe so much in Gen Z, and I have children, and my children are
Mhm.
Gen Alpha.
Okay.
Um, and and of course, I parent my children with these emotional awareness and emotional intelligence
Right.
principles.
Yep.
Um, I would say I would empower future generations to
Hmm.
be so emotionally intelligent that they're able to reach back into the older generations
Wow.
and bring us all together.
Okay.
Don't just look forward, but, you know, grab an old person from back
Right.
there and bring them forward with you. And
Yeah. No, I
be
love that.
inclusive. Yeah. Break
Yeah.
down barriers,
Hmm.
really just uh, whatever kind of barriers are generational, socioeconomic, race, gender, abilities, neuro divergence. There's so many differences that separate all of us.
Right.
Emotional intelligence
Mm.
is, is such an amazing way to empower a person to learn how to reach beyond those differences.
Hmm.
And it kind of gets back to my world change aspirations.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think we would all be better if we focused on our humanity, not our differences. And this definitely
Yes,
does bring that back. I love that. I mean, it's, kudos for you for, I mean, yes, you want to be a world changer for those moving forward, but yeah, I think why not encourage and yeah, just encourage those folks that once they've learned this, bring somebody along with this because
yeah,
outside of, and I mentioned that before, just if you have not been taught that, it can't be held against you, right? If
right.
folks my age and our parents and this kind of stuff were never taught this, then we really can't rag on them and feel offended that they are not working through things in an emotionally intelligent way. So let's take it upon ourselves to first learn it and then to share.
Yes,
Yes.
you got it.
There we go. Awesome. Well, Tina, thank you so much. This was so much fun. I knew that it would be. but better than expected. So it was a
Ah,
pleasure to
thank you.
meet you, and I look forward to future conversations and future ways that you and I can work together to share your message. This is wonderful.
Likewise. Thank you, Andy.
All right, take care. See ya. Wow, what a beautiful reminder that emotions aren't just feelings, they're signals, tools, and opportunities for growth. Huge thanks to Tina Schweiger for sharing her wisdom and the powerful mission behind FeelWise. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with a friend, subscribing, or leaving a quick review on your favorite platform. For more conversations that empower learning and leadership, stay connected with us at empoweredlearningpodcast.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and stay empowered.